U.S. fighters down Iraqi planes attempting to escape to Iran. Jordan's king calls for a ceasefire, saying Allied bombing is devastating Iraq. Bad times and fear of terrorism hit U.S. air travel. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Ratto reporting tonight with a special War Update edition. Good evening. Allied warplanes kept up their round-the-clock punishment of Iraq and occupied Kuwait today. American fighter planes for the first time shot down Iraqi aircraft trying to flee to Iran. Saddam Hussein's forces continue probing along the Saudi Arabian-Kuwait border. King Hussein of Jordan called for a ceasefire. He accused the United States of trying to destroy Iraq's economy and culture. In Washington, in a statement that surprised some, Secretary of State Baker said after the war, the U.S. and its allies would help Iraq rebuild. Today's Allied military briefings listed another string of losses for Iraq, including some of its top fighter aircraft. Eric Ingberg reports.
For the first time in the war, American fighter planes this morning foiled an attempt by Iraqi planes to escape to Iran. F-15 fighters shot down 2 of the Iraqis, and pilots claimed 2 others, MiG-21s, were probably down. Allied claims that Iraq's air defenses have been totally shattered ran into a barrage of missiles fired at British bombers.
In one incident last night, a volley of surface-to-air missiles was fired at an aircraft, and in another, a surface-to-air missile attacked a Tornado aircraft, got extremely close indeed.
Saddam is apparently hiding at least some ground-to-air missiles for such surprises, saving them from Allied bombers, which have blasted many. Marine aerial infrared photos show a SAM launcher destroyed by one bomb. A missile cooks off, fires harmlessly as a result of the explosion. As the Allies knock out bridges in an effort to cut off food and fuel bound for the enemy army in Kuwait, the Iraqis are quickly replacing them with floating pontoon bridges. American units still waiting for orders to launch an offensive are on alert to take surrenders from line crossers. The POW count is now 850. 6 drove up to some Marines waving a white flag.
Their impression was that the majority of the individuals over there, if given the same opportunities that they had, would defect.
The Saudi town of Khafji, scene of the first land battle of the war a week ago, was hit again by Iraqi troops, this time by sea. Saudi troops repelled an Iraqi commando team in 3 boats, sinking one of them. With the Iraqis showing no signs of cracking, U.S. commanders got questions from skeptical reporters today on the lack of progress in the war. The generals insisted there is no Desert Storm stall. But the feeling is spreading across this theater that a ground offensive is now unavoidable. Eric Engberg, CBS News, Saudi Arabia.
2 U.S. F-15 pilots responsible for shooting down those Iraqi warplanes on their way to Iran talked about it later when they got back to base in Saudi Arabia. Scott Pelley has their story.
U.S. warplanes are now fighting to cut the Iraqi Air Force escape route to Iran. Today, 2 U.S. pilots shot down 4 enemy jets trying to flee Iraq.
Nicely done.
For security reasons, the pilots did not want to be named. Each shot down 2 Iraqi jets, 2 Su-25s, 2 MiG-21s, all of them ground attack planes.
Now one guy was pulling up, just slow rolling right,
slow roll.
fire.
The whole tail was gone, flames coming out of the bottom of the jet. Don't see anything like it.
The mission was part of a new effort to end the flight of Iraqi jets into neutral Iran. The planes shot down today were caught by Air Force F-15s that now orbit continually over the escape route.
The enemy planes were only seconds from Iran when they were intercepted. The Iraqi pilots were apparently trying to avoid American radar. They were flying very fast and very low, below 100 feet. The American pilots said the Iraqis were kicking up the desert sand as they made their dash to the border.
They think if they can get low enough that they can, their return will be confused with the ground clutter, and our radars won't be able to display that to us. Well, it's fundamentally wrong, and it's been proven over and over to them now.
My radar, fixed it yesterday. Good to go.
The men of the 53rd Tactical Fighter Squadron celebrated the kills and painted on 4 Iraqi flags. In the last 2 weeks, the 53rd has shot down 8 enemy jets.
It's a team effort. It's a team win. and it's a symbol of the team's victory.
Well, thank you guys for serving me.
Ain't no problem. Thank you for getting some with it. 3 more and you're at 8.
The F-15s were immediately rearmed for the return north. The intention now is to build a wall of American missiles between Baghdad and Iran. Scott Pelley with the 53rd Tactical Fighter Squadron, Central Saudi Arabia.
There are reports tonight, so far unconfirmed, that B-52s are in the process of being retargeted, shifting their attention to Iraqi dug-in positions along the Kuwait-Saudi border, with smaller tactical planes now carrying out so-called smart bombs, shifting their attention to the Republican Guard. Just how badly the Republican Guard has been hurt could be a key factor in a decision about whether and when the Allies launch any ground offensive. David Martin at the Pentagon has the latest on how the war is going. David?
Dan, after 3 weeks and nearly 50,000 missions, the Pentagon makes no secret of the fact that the air campaign has not yet done enough damage to the elite units of the Iraqi army to clear the way for an Allied ground offensive.
There has been damage done to the Republican Guard. We would like to see more damage done to the Republican Guard, and that's why we're continuing the bombing campaign.
Airstrikes have destroyed an estimated 500 Iraqi tanks and armored personnel carriers, a small fraction of the 7,000 tanks and armored personnel carriers in the Kuwaiti theater. These reconnaissance photos show Iraqi armored vehicles dug in behind earthen berms. Black smoke rises from burning ammo dumps, but the tanks themselves appear to remain intact, although sometimes it's hard to tell what's real.
They've got these wooden tanks, I understand, covered in some sort of tinfoil or something that will actually reflect radar, and they're also, as a secondary option, they're also putting buckets of oil on top of perfectly serviceable tanks and lighting them to imply that they're down.
American F-16s and A-10s armed with Maverick missiles will continue to attack those tanks one by one, but the pilots know they can't get them all.
I wish I could tell you that we had eliminated most of it, but quite honestly, I don't really know. And the Army will in all probability get involved, and when they do, then we'll find out really what he has left.
A classified Army study estimates that at the start of the war, Iraq could move 200,000 tons of supplies a day into the Kuwaiti theater. According to the study, the air campaign has cut the resupply rate to 50,000 tons a day.
His roads, his bridges, his railways have been struck and restruck. At least 42 bridges have been struck and apparently have suffered major damage.
But bridges can be repaired or replaced by ferries, and Pentagon officials say that as long as the Iraqi army remains dug in, it doesn't need a lot of supplies.
You got to remember the Iraqi army's sitting still, so they're not burning a lot of fuel.
The American military is not sitting still. 30 ships carrying 17,000 Marines have moved into the Persian Gulf, where they will continue preparing for the day President Bush decides he can wait no longer before ordering the ground offensive. Dan?
Thanks, David. Jordan's King Hussein, a friend of Saddam, renewed his appeal for a ceasefire today. He also said Arab leaders worldwide should realize the war is really, quote, a war against all Arabs and Muslims, unquote. Correspondent Doug Donnell has a report.
King Hussein told Jordanians tonight that the destruction in Iraq is now so vast that he ruled out the possibility of an Iraqi victory. The alternative to a ceasefire, he said, is the humiliation and exploitation of Arabs and Muslims. The king said Allied airstrikes had destroyed mosques, churches, schools, and hospitals. It followed another claim by Iraqi officials today of mounting civilian casualties. In the city of Basra, Iraqi authorities said 349 people had died in airstrikes since the war began. All across Iraq, travelers report hospitals are overwhelmed with casualties.
They are working under severe conditions. The electricity shortage, the water shortage is depriving these hospitals of hygienity and cleanliness.
In Iraq, foreign cameramen are encouraged to film enthusiastic civilians chanting support for Saddam Hussein, but they are prohibited from focusing on any military equipment, buildings, or bases. The result, it is difficult, if not impossible, to know how effective the bombing has been against Iraq's war machine. One certainty is that the air campaign has cut Jordan off from 80% of its supply of oil.
Our economy is almost at its standstill. We have great difficulty in importing necessary products to Jordan.
Western diplomats here say the danger is much greater than just long lines at the pump. The kingdom's long-term stability may be at risk. The cutoff of oil is so potentially disruptive here that the U.S. government has now intervened and is trying to help Jordan find alternative sources of oil. U.S. officials have asked Saudi Arabia to restore oil shipments to Jordan. But Western diplomats say the Saudis are so angry at King Hussein, they have refused the American request so far. The king said tonight Jordan was being denied its basic needs as a new form of punishment, because he said Jordanians had refused to join the alliance against Iraq. Doug Tennell, CBS News, Amman.
On his way to New York City this evening for a speaking engagement, President Bush said he disagreed with the criticism leveled by Jordan's king that the U.S. alliance was trying to devastate Iraq and kill civilians. Mr. Bush also said he understood the Jordanian king was under pressure at home. Rumors abound, but we have no new confirmed information to report tonight on our missing CBS News colleagues, correspondent Bob Simon, producer Peter Bluff, cameraman Roberto Alvarez, and soundman Juan Caldera. They disappeared January 21st near the Kuwait border. There are still reports, still unconfirmed, that the CBS newsmen may be in the hands of the Iraqi army. Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, Rita Braver on continuing concern about protecting air travelers from terrorism, and Ray Brady on airline concern that so few people are flying these days.
To protect the lives of firefighters, DuPont developed a remarkable fire-resistant fiber for their clothing called Nomex. But perhaps even more remarkable is how it protects those who never even wear it. At DuPont, we make the things that make a difference.
During the course of one 60-minute workout, a body can be depleted of vitamins B6 and C, carbohydrates, and valuable potassium, all of which, it so happens, can be replaced by eating one Chiquita banana. So whatever you put out, put back. Chiquita, quite possibly the world's perfect food.
This is the sound of Unisom, the sound of sleep. With Unisom, you hit your pillow and fall asleep fast. Tonight, you can sleep more soundly with Unisom, America's #1 sleep aid.
When sore muscles or minor arthritis pain hold you back, you need strong medicine. Ben Gay, with not just one, but 2 pain relievers. Warming power for fast relief. Helps get you going again. Ben Gay, fast, strong medicine for pain relief.
Saddam Hussein keeps threatening to bring terrorism to the United States, and the threat alone is enough to strike fear and force some people to change their travel plans. So much so that federal aviation officials feel compelled to do something about it. Rita Braver has our report.
The Federal Aviation Administration is so concerned about the dramatic drop in air travel that airline officials were summoned to a closed-door meeting in Washington today to discuss whether to further increase airport security, already at the most stringent level in history. Under consideration, plans to restrict carry-on bags to 1 per person, to require hand searches of all checked luggage, and to add more police patrols to airports. But the decision today, security will not be increased for now.
We feel that the security in place is sufficient and the American traveler is very safe to travel on the American Airlines.
One reason for the reluctance to further step up security, precautions already in place, such as an end to curbside baggage check-in, are causing many delays. But passengers we talk to say they don't mind the inconvenience.
I think the extra security is justified. I don't complain about it.
I'd rather wait in line for that extra few minutes than become a victim of a circumstance that was out of my control because of a lack of security.
Of course, the real problem is not with the people who are traveling, but with the ones who aren't. And no one is certain whether increased security will convince Americans that it is safe to fly. These women flew to Washington over objections from family members.
I had a daughter that didn't want me to come, but
I really wasn't that worried.
We've got to get to the American public and let them know that there is no real threat to them traveling on a U.S. air carrier.
Still, the airline industry has failed to reassure passengers like Joanne Donahue, worried about her flight home to Great Britain.
The threat from people, I don't really want my planes to get blown up on the way home.
But despite the fact that U.S. intelligence has picked up no specific warnings of threats to American air carriers, until the public perception changes, U.S. air terminals are expected to keep looking like this. Rita Braver, CBS News, Washington.
Fear of terrorism is just part of the airline's woes. These days, the frequent flyers on Pan Am wear camouflage. With most other travelers staying close to home, Pan Am's cutting its number of flights abroad, and it's laying off another 4,000 workers. Its second round of layoffs since the Gulf crisis began. Flight attendant Ken Buchan got his pink slip today.
No, being laid off is tough. You know, it's the first time I've ever been through this.
Airports around the nation sometimes look like ghost towns. No crush of travelers. No hustling sky caps.
It seems like everybody's afraid to fly, and it's put a hurt on everybody.
In 1988, airline profits soared into the wild blue yonder. But then the economy began to slow. Profits were off in 1989. In 1990, recession and the Gulf crisis. Profits took a nosedive. One reason, those U.S. bombers gobble up gallons of jet fuel, and that sent its price sky high.
The price of jet fuel doubled, which essentially doubled a major portion of the airline's operating costs.
For those who will travel, competitors are quick to steal airline passengers by booking vacation cruises to the Caribbean, Mexico, and other safe havens.
I think the cruise industry has been a beneficiary of the Gulf War. People are choosing their vacations closer to home.
And that could mean still more stormy skies ahead for the struggling airlines.
Over the next year, you're going to see several airlines under tremendous economic pressure that may force some of them out of business. The likely candidates being Pan Am, TWA, and perhaps Continental.
Fewer airlines in the future will mean higher ticket prices for Americans. When Eastern Airlines went under, its bargain New York to Miami fare went with it, and competitors on the route quickly moved to nearly double their prices for the same trip. Dan?
Ray Brady, thanks. Stay with us now for more news, including correspondent Anthony Mason on the return of government censorship to Soviet Airways.
If you're counting calories, here's something you should know. An entire Kellogg's Special K breakfast, including cereal, fruit, skim milk, and coffee, actually has fewer calories than the leading diet shake. Fewer calories. And when you're dieting, isn't that what's important? Kellogg's Special K. Lose the fat.
Even though you're watching your cholesterol, you can still bring out the best. Hellman's Cholesterol Free.
Bring out the smiles. Bring out the ooze. Bring out the rave reviews. Bring out the yays. Bring out the praise for the one best mayonnaise. Bring out the Hellman's and bring out the best.
94% saturated fat-free, Hellman's Cholesterol Free.
Sinus pain, sinus pressure, it really hurts. Signatab combines Tylenol's painkiller with Sudafed's decongestant to work better than either one alone. It stops the pain. Signatab stops sinus pain.
We bake pearls made of denture material in this blueberry pie to prove how powerfully Efferdent, America's leading denture cleanser, removes this tough stain, even in between. Efferdent, stronger than stains.
Battered women who killed.
And then I fired the gun.
Should they go free? Till death do us part. 48 hours tonight.
Secretary of State Baker today urged the Senate to delay ratifying the landmark European Conventional Arms Treaty signed last year. Baker cited questions about Soviet compliance. President Bush's spokesman, meanwhile, said the U.S. is sending medical supplies to the Soviet Baltic states. Mentioning the Baltic states by name, Soviet President Gorbachev said today he intends to preserve the Soviet Union at all costs. On Soviet radio and television, it's like old times again, as we hear from Anthony Mason.
В Москве 14 часов.
From its studios in Moscow, Radio Russia used to be beamed out across the entire country. But this week, the station, a frequent critic of Gorbachev, was suddenly assigned a new frequency by the Soviet government, cutting its audience almost in half.
They can't stand any longer difference in political views.
And tonight, an angry Boris Yeltsin said he personally had asked for time on national television and was refused it. Both orders came from this man, Leonid Kravchenko, Gorbachev's new chief of state radio and television, who since his appointment last November has been slowly suppressing criticism of the president. The progressive TV news magazine Viewpoint has been pulled off the air for editorial review. On the news program TSN, anchorwoman Tatiana Mitkova was told to read only the official version of the military crackdown in Lithuania. All other reporting was censored. Our every word is controlled now, she says. Glasnost in television is gradually dying. Newspapers are free of government censorship under a law passed last summer, but most people get their news from state TV, and Kravchenko is unrepentant. This is not a question of democracy, he said today. State television isn't in the business of criticizing the government. In this difficult time, it would be tragic if we didn't support the president. Last month, President Gorbachev suggested the law on press freedom be suspended. It hasn't been yet. But the chairman of the Supreme Soviet reminded a convention of journalists today they have a responsibility to fight extremism and serve the nation. Not long ago, serving the nation meant pushing Gorbachev's programs for reform. Now that those reforms are in trouble, it means defending the president's power. Anthony Mason, CBS News, Moscow.
Sometime before dawn tomorrow, the Soviet Union's 40-ton Salyut 7 space station is expected to drop out of orbit after 9 years up there. Soviet officials estimate up to 2 tons could survive re-entry into the atmosphere. Where this 2 tons might come down can't be calculated until shortly before re-entry.
A cup of that coffee, please.
You know, it's going to be a nice day for the parade.
You know, even the coffee tasted somehow better back then. I guess that's why those Maxwell House folks slow roast their 1892 coffee. Didn't even change the way they used to make it. Introducing Maxwell House 1892 coffee, made with old-fashioned pride, the way things used to be.
Did you know there are 2 types of bills? The kind everybody loves to get and the kind everybody hates to get. Now, if your small business is using another long-distance company, send us your last bill, switch to AT&T Pro Watts, and you'll save up to 1,000 of these bills. What's more, with Pro Watts, you'll be getting AT&T quality at an extremely competitive price. So call now, because you can never have too many bills. I mean these bills, not these bills. Up to $1,000 savings. Another AT&T advantage.
Ever notice how wonderfully plump plums are? How luscious and sweet? Just like these Sunsweet pitted prunes. Now maybe that's just a coincidence, but I don't think so. Only one prune tastes Sunsweet.
How fast does Dristan nasal spray start working to clear up congestion?
Hey, I didn't expect it to start to work this fast.
Dristan nasal spray starts to work in seconds.
I'm Steve Crowley. Interest rates have been dropping. Coming up, how to find higher interest rates on savings without getting burned.
Only 4 days after making his final television appearance of his long career, comedian and producer Danny Thomas died this morning in Los Angeles of a heart attack. Danny Thomas was 79. He was one of television's first stars and, from all accounts, one of its most applauded. Here's Richard Roth.
I gotta say that this daughter of yours really can cook.
Yep, she'll sure make a good wife when the right man comes along.
His real name was Muzyad Yacoub, the son of Lebanese immigrants. Studio head Louis Mayer once told him if he wanted to make it, he'd have to fix his nose. Danny Thomas didn't do that, but for a long time he had doubts.
In '53, when Make Room for Daddy was being planned, I was sure that this face, this puss, was not going to be white Protestant American fare.
He was wrong.
Got a tall flash for you, Aladdin. You've rubbed the lamp the wrong way. The hook-nosed genie is not coming through this time.
The TV show that became his trademark aired in prime time for 11 years. It's still running somewhere in syndication or on cable 37 years later.
First of all, put that ridiculous comb away, will you?
Yeah, I'm only trying to bring out the luster.
His ambition, he once said, was a house in the suburbs and a normal, happy life. His achievement went way beyond. He became a video impresario, a father of the art form called the spin-off.
You picked on the wrong guy this time, Clem. Name ain't Clem, it's Andy. Andy Taylor.
He spun off the Andy Griffith Show. As a producer, he turned out programs that turned into cultural icons of the 60s, earning millions and making Danny Thomas one of Hollywood's most successful businessmen.
Guy went into a restaurant.
Early on, as a struggling comic, the story goes, Thomas once prayed to the patron saint of hopeless causes. With prosperity, including the huge fees he made as a TV pitchman, he founded and funded a children's hospital in Memphis named after St. Jude. He celebrated an anniversary there just this week.
This is the best staffed pediatrics research center in the world. I peeked in to say goodnight.
Danny Thomas said the hospital would be his epitaph, but in his autobiography, he admits on the end of his list of accomplishments would be a single, simple achievement. In his lifetime, he made a lot of people laugh. Richard Roth, CBS News, Hollywood.
What do professionals do when they get a clogged sink, a stopped-up shower, a backed-up tub? They just pour in the power. The professional power of professional strength liquid Drano with 3 active ingredients. The power it takes to clear really tough clogs. Professionals use the professional liquid, and now you can too. Pour in the power. Professional strength liquid Drano.
You know what, Raleigh? Coach says if I work my fundamentals, maybe in 10 years, I can have a shot at the bigs. Guess if you're coming with me, Raleigh, you gotta work the fundamentals too.
Alpo, all the meat dogs love, fortified with all the vitamins and minerals they need to eat well and be well, well into the future.
Coach says I can really go places. But I'm not going anywhere without you, Raleigh.
Refreshing mint. No wonder Polident has a minty mouthwash ingredient in every tablet. Other cleansers may get dentures clean, but Polident gets the minty fresh clean. Super strength, super minty, Polident.
Hi, what'd you bring back?
Diarrhea.
Of course, you forgot your kaopectate.
Advanced formula kaopectate. Just 1 dose helps relieve diarrhea fast.
Next time, I won't forget the kaopectate.
Guaranteed to stop diarrhea fast.
This is CBS.
Good evening, I'm Vicki Yates.
And I'm Chris Clark. Coming up next on News Channel 5, 6 o'clock report, a U.S. Senate committee questions a former Tennessee governor for the nation's top education post.
Find out why a former Metro police officer faces charges. And Vandy students stand up for the Saudi troops.
Those stories, plus police investigate a murder, and the state plans to help students now serving in the Middle East.
And how do parents with kids in private schools feel about taxes for public education? News Channel 5, 6 o'clock report is next.
Hey, don't adjust the color on your TV. These are Florida oranges, and this is as orange as they get. Now, while some people look for oranges that are very, very orange, Florida oranges are sometimes a little yellow, even a little green. But inside, Florida oranges are rich, ripe, delicious. Outside, this is as